This video is sponsored by Care Of.
Team 10 is a family.
It's just like the best family.
Really, I love everyone here, and I have so much fun filming with everyone.
So Team 10 is family. We are family.
Hello class, today we are going to be talking about Team 10. And some of you might be wondering, what is Team 10? And to that I say, who the hell are flipping you?
This is Team 10, bitch, who the hell are flipping you?
Team 10 was a group of social media influencers formed by one of my personal sleep paralysis demons, Jake Paul. The Team 10 website describes Team 10 as the first ever social media label for talent by the talent, which feels certifiably untrue, but okay. Team 10 was, in short, a content house where creators would live together, collab, and cross-promote to grow their individual brands. Not unlike the Vlog Squad or the Hype House or the earlier groups like O2L or MagCon that really created this formula. Team 10 was by no means the original content house, but to their credit, they really did become the blueprint for it. Team 10 managed to somehow be much more corporate than any content house we had seen to that point, while also being so chaotic that commentary channels in the year 2017 could never look away. Unlike the MagCon boys, O2L, the Brick Crew, Team 10 wasn't just a group of friends who happened to be YouTubers deciding to collab with one another. This was a group of people hand-selected by Jake Paul to be under contract with him and preordained basically to be social media stars. Yes, some of Team 10 members were just Jake Paul's high school friends who tagged along with him out to LA, but most members of Team 10 were actively recruited and signed on to live in a house with Jake Paul purely for the hopes that it would grant them social media fame. Team 10 vlogs were almost entirely shots promoting various members' Instagram handles, cut between, some very subtle advertising for Team 10 merch.
We were really warm while we were cleaning at night because the new winter line is just amazing. It's just so warm and fluffy. New merch! Hit him with the new drop dance, come on!
Buy that merch, buy that merch, buy that merch.
But hey, if your Instagram handle was plugged, you could get tens of thousands of children followers within the day. I mean, can you imagine anything that shameless? I also stream on Twitch, but even though Team 10 content was almost in its entirety an advertisement in one way or another, they had to put something in between those advertisements, and boy did they put something. Every day, someone in the Team 10 house was getting kidnapped by killer clowns.
Erica! No! What the Yo! Erica! Yo, what the
Getting possessed by American demons.
The only way to get rid of the American in you, Nick Crompton, is to have an American exorcism.
Or threatened with tasers.
Who's the best YouTuber? You! Who's the best YouTuber?
I can't stress this enough. There were a lot of tasers.
Yo! Taser Gauntlet! Jake Paulers, what's up? It's every day, bro. Taser Gauntlet!
Things were so stressful that they had to get a pet lion just to take the edge off.
I have merch. Fansway.co/Jake Paul.
And this was all happening at the same time Jake Paul was on a Disney Channel show with Olivia Rodrigo. Well, until he got fired from that. You set two mattresses on fire and people just won't let it go. So if you can't already tell, I was both horrified of and fascinated with Team 10 in the years of 2017 and 2018. It's like a mattress fire, you just can't look away. So today I wanted to walk through the horrifying mess that was Team 10. But let's pause real quick to talk about today's sponsor, Care Of. For those of you who don't know, Care Of is a subscription service that sends you supplements based on a short quiz you can take, which will ask you questions about your diet, your lifestyle, your overall health goals, and then sends you a custom 30-day supplement pack based on your needs. Lately, my supplement pack has really just been focused on meeting like my basic nutritional needs. Like for example, I am always supplementing vitamin B12. It's a really important vitamin just for your energy and your overall brain health. And especially as a vegetarian, it's just important to supplement that, have that every day in my Care Of pack. So that's been super helpful. I also have their vegan vitamin D. You can imagine as a content creator who works from home, I don't really go outdoors a lot. So it's really important for me to supplement this. And with the supplement packs already pre-portioned out, ready to go, it's just really easy to put into my routine. With this handy dandy QR code, you can take the Care Of quiz and see what's recommended for you. And when you use my code Ashley Norton, you'll get 50% off subscription items in your first order. Thank you again to Care of for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. Team 10 was first unveiled in 2016, a Los Angeles home filled with the latest and greatest influencers after receiving just $1 million in investment funding, including investment actually from Gary Vee. That $18,000 in rent a month wasn't going to pay for itself. The original Team 10 members included, of course, Jake Paul, Niels Visser, Alex Lang, AJ Mitchell, the Dobre brothers, and Alissa Violet. Members like Alex and Niels were Instagram models prior to moving out to LA. AJ Mitchell was actually a singer, which was a very different vibe from the rest of the group.
Judge me, 'cause if you did, baby, I would judge you too. Jake Paul, merch link in bio. Ohio fried chicken, bitch.
The Dobre brothers, of course, are familiar to regulars of this channel from my YouTube tour video. They're the shirtless backflipping boys, because that's all boys know how to do these days. Be shirtless, backflip, and lie. Of those original members, Alissa was the only one who seemed to have actually known Jake prior to joining Team 10, and they had actually met at one of Jake's fan meetups in Ohio back when Jake was a Viner. Jake and Alissa began a situationship, not quite dating, not quite together, that would eventually carry over into their Team 10 content. I realize I didn't put into the script actually who Jake Paul was, because I kind of thought that it went without saying, but if you aren't familiar, Jake Paul is, I would say, probably the less famous brother of the Paul brothers. There's Jake Paul and Logan Paul, and they both have been on the internet for a long time. They started a YouTube channel back when they were kids, but really the thing that got them famous was they were Vine content creators, and you can imagine their Vine content has aged. It's aged.
What do you want?
And I think, like a lot of Viners who made the jump over to YouTube after Vine was shut down, Jake Paul was seen as like annoying, a nuisance, but I don't think he was necessarily outright controversial or dangerous the way he would, you know, come to be known in later years. Because Team 10 was, of course, a content house, there were new videos being made every day, bro. Jake announced on his channel that he would start daily vlogging, and boy do I wish I could commit to something the way Jake committed to that intro.
Secret Service is here. There's 5 guys outside. Black suits, 2 SUVs, and they're not playing. Let's go, dude.
I didn't do anything wrong.
I know, you got this. You got this.
Huh?
Yo. We, lost.
Should I just start incorporating that intro into my video essays? Hey guys, today we're gonna talk about the Tumblr witch who stole human bones from graveyards and sold them in a queer witch Facebook group. It's also kind of wild to see just the difference in editing and energy in Jake's first daily vlog versus his later videos. Dare I say he seemed like a real person in the first video?
I've experienced the craziest things in the past 3 years in that journey, and I'm continuing to experience those things, and I want to share them with you, and I want you guys to laugh with me. I want you guys to be sad with me. I want you to, like, come along with my life. One of Jake Paul's West Coast stuff, bro. What are you gonna do?
I feel...
Nipple plunge. What?
There was a dedicated Team 10 YouTube channel where the group would post videos, usually surrounding the various Team 10 couples making out in various settings. But most Team 10 content was actually posted daily from every member's individual channels, with Jake's channel being far and away the biggest and most successful. Even though Team 10 was a collective, Jake Paul was in essence the Team 10 brand. He was basically like the Florence of the Machine. Sure, dedicated fans could name the other members of the group, but to outsiders, he was the only one people were really familiar with. Which is also why so many of Jake's scandals he would get into over the years were so closely associated with Team 10 as a whole. It's also wild to see just how young Team 10 was, basically throughout its entire existence. AJ and Alex were just 14 years old living in this content house, and even Jake was only 19 years old when he started this. Have y'all ever heard of Kid Nation, the reality show where 8 to 15-year-olds were left in the outskirts of New Mexico to form their own society before being shut down after accusations of labor law violations and child endangerment? I wonder if Jake Paul has seen it. I mean, if he did, it was probably more of an inspiration than a cautionary tale. So as I mentioned earlier, Alissa and Jake off camera were kind of dating, kind of not dating, and everyone knows that a relationship is only worth pursuing if it can be exploited for content. I mean, Dan's been dodging my attempts to become a couple's prank channel like The Draft, but I'll get him one of these days, you'll see. Jalissa, as they were known to the fandom, was all over the Team 10 vlogs. Doing all the cute couple things, Jake would throw Alissa in a pool.
Jake, I'm being serious! I'm being serious! Don't! Jake! Oh my god!
He would throw Alissa in bushes, spit on her, threaten her with a taser. Someone please take the taser away from Jake Paul.
Instead of me getting handcuffed, I'm gonna handcuff her to something else, and then we bust out the taser.
There were Jalissa edits, Jalissa fanfiction, Jalissa merch. The Team 10-year-olds could not get enough of this relationship. That is until February of 2017, when Alissa posted a series of Snapchats with their stuff thrown all over the Team 10 house, claiming Jake was now kicking her out of the house before she even had time to find an apartment. Alissa said she would be explaining everything, posting the truth to Twitter later on, but before she could do that, Jake tweeted, "Predicted this is what she'd do. Jalissa was real. The problem is she cheated on me. I am the victim, not her." That being said, he loves her so much and wishes her the best with her future endeavors. Although Alissa hadn't told her full side of the story just yet, this was like the first real crack in the Team 10 facade. Maybe Jake and Team 10 weren't the loving, wholesome, taser-wielding brand they presented as. But Alissa wasn't even the only person to leave Team 10 at this point. In fact, all of the original members had quietly gone off to do their own things. So, Team 10 got a rebrand. We got Chance and Anthony.
Like Meg, who? DG, who are you?
Tessa Brooks, The Competition Shook.
Oh, it's Tessa Brooks, The Competition Shook.
Team 10 COO Nick Crumpton.
England is my city, and if it weren't for Team 10, then the US would be shitty.
The Martinez Twins.
Hold on. Can we switch the language?
And my personal favorite, Justin Roberts.
6 figures I was only for. 6 figures I was only for.
At the time, we really could not appreciate Justin Roberts just singing with his full chest. I'm a Nepo baby. I bought my way here.
I don't even open my own door. I was iced out when I was 4.
Also, the Pope is my grandpa.
Thank God my grandpa is the Pope. He's the Pope.
You can truly never guess the next thing Justin Roberts is going to say. With his brand new Team 10 assembled, Jake released the song To Rule All Songs, a song he made in just one glorious day.
It's every day, bro. It's every day, bro. It's every day, bro. I said it's every day, bro.
This video made history. The commentary channels were well fed. In the summer of 2017, I must have watched at least a dozen different videos making fun of this song, and I ate it up every time, like it was the first time I'd seen it. This song, Everyday Bro, sits at 299 million views. It debuted at number 2, right under Despacito. And it was at one point the 5th most disliked video on the entire YouTube platform. And honestly, I think that's incorrect. Cringe culture is dead. I'm officially declaring it's every day, bro.
It's every day, bro.
I just pull off my Scooby-Doo villain mask and it's Jake Paul under there. This song's good, I swear. But let's break down some of the lyrics here, because I do know all of them. Things you didn't know. Jake Paul, he's from Ohio.
But I'm from Ohio, though, white boy.
And this is Team 10, bitch. Who the hell are flipping you?
This is Team 10, bitch. Who the hell are flipping you?
Does Jake Paul want to swear in front of his child audience? Only a little bit. But he does struggle to fit some digs at Alissa Violet into this rhyme scheme. And you know I kick them out if they ain't with the crew. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You begging for attention, talking shit on Twitter too. But you still hit my phone last night. It was 4:52 and I got the text to prove, and all the recordings too. Don't make me tell them the truth. Like, sir, take a breath. Also, that's exactly how he sounded. My impression was spot on.
True, and I got the text to prove, and all the recordings too. Don't make me tell them the truth.
He's not the only one actually to make a dig at Alissa. Tessa Brooks, The Competition Shook, also threw in a line at Alissa.
Panera is your home, so stop calling my phone. Yeah, I smell good. Is that your boy's cologne?
Put a pin in these lyrics, they will be important later. But also, Jake just dropped some new merch, and they're selling like a god church.
And I just dropped some new merch, and it's selling like a god church.
And to this day, scientists are still debating, is it selling like a god, parentheses church, comma church, god dash church? Jake will never tell. Now for the best verse on this track, it's Nick Crompton.
No, it's Nick Crompton, and my collar stay popping. Yes, I can rap, and no, I'm not from Compton. England is my city.
Is England a city? More importantly, is England even real? This is probably the most infamous line from this song, and I just want to give credit where credit's due. Nick Crompton did not write that line. Jake did. And I think Jake may have actually thought that England was a city. How silly. Everyone knows England isn't real. In conclusion, is this song good? No. I mean, no. But is this song good? Yes. And I'm honestly tired of having to explain myself. But this song was just the beginning of so many diss tracks. On June 9th of 2017, Alissa Violet finally came out with her response called What You've All Been Waiting For, The Truth. In this video, she basically explains what she had alluded to in tweets earlier. She met Jake at a fan meetup and was encouraged by him to move out to LA and join Team 10. But in order to join Team 10, she had to sign a contract which allegedly gave Team 10 20% of her earnings for the next 5 years, regardless of whether she stayed with Team 10 for those 5 years.
He was like, yo, why don't you come out to LA? And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, there's no way. He was like, well, why don't you just like fly out here for 2 weeks and, you know, just see how it is, see if you like it, and I can introduce you to a bunch of my friends, I can introduce you to modeling agencies. I was head over heels for this kid, like legit. I would do anything for him. That's why I signed a contract for 20% of my life for 5 years. I believed in him, and he believed in me.
She also revealed that the Team 10 house had a lot of rules set by Jake, which seemed to be only arbitrarily enforced. First, there was no alcohol, no drugs. Sure, this is a house of children. That makes sense. But Jake also had the rule, if you weren't up filming by 10 a.m., you'd be fined $5,000. And on top of that, you had to get Jake's permission to have friends over. And according to Alissa, Jake would always allow other people to have friends over. But if Alissa wanted to have someone over, if she wanted to have a guy over, he would always say no. But again, Jake is still sleeping with other girls in front of Alissa all the time.
But then he would like play all these mind games with me and just be like, yo, like don't get mad, having a girl over. And he did that like 25,000 times. I would be like in our room, like editing or doing something, and then all of a sudden he'd like walk in and be like, yo, like can you leave please for like 2 hours? Like can you go upstairs and can you just like leave for a little bit? And I was like, why? He's like, oh, like I'm having a girl over, we're gonna hang out in here. Okay. I was heartbroken, like legit heartbroken.
Alissa explained that this emotional roller coaster and toxicity all built up until Alissa finally treated him the way he had treated her, and he didn't take it well.
It was both of our faults, really. He shouldn't have treated me like day after day and then expect everything to be okay, and I shouldn't have stayed. I finally treated him the way that he was treating me, and he didn't like it. He got pissed and kicked me out. Like the one time I decided to be savage like him, and it ended with me being homeless. And so after all of these wild revelations about a seemingly very unhealthy relationship, Alissa closes the video out with a diss track. You can't just kill someone and bring them back to life. It doesn't work like that in the real world. And I know a lot of you will be like, Alissa, don't release that track, like you're such a be the bigger person. No, I'm sorry guys. I've been wanting to make this video for so long now. Rice and I have been working on the song and we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this, and I'm proud of it. I want to put it out there. It's Everynight Sis.
I mean, I feel kind of bad, but like, fuck it.
Folks, it's Everynight Sis. Another banger, I fear.
Nah, wrong call, yeah, it's Jake, like from State Farm. Get girls, but the hooker said you paid for it.
Alyssa's relationship with that strapless top perfectly mirrors my relationship with reality, just this close, always. Even this song debuted at number 80 on the Billboard Hot 100. And folks, if you thought we were done talking about diss tracks, you are sadly mistaken. We still haven't even gotten to the best one.
Hey Jake, I made one phone call. I got the same house as you. Same cars too, it's really not that hard.
The Fall of Jake Paul by Logan Paul featuring Why Don't We premiered on July 9th, 2017 and has been stuck in my head ever since.
Little brother standing on his own 2 feet, not for long. I'm a dog, you're a puppy, call you Kong.
Listen, I know Logan has done some bad things. I want to hate this song, I really do. I can't make it not a bop.
Should be every other day, just some strong advice. I made you famous once, it's about to happen twice.
But the wildest part of the song is, of course, this part.
Oh, that's Alissa Violet, used to be your chick. Now she in the low gang and you know she on my team.
These are far from the only diss tracks Jake and Logan wrote about each other in their sort of fake, sort of real internet beef of 2017, but the internet was shocked at Alissa's cameo in this song. It was clear that the Alissa Violet drama was not going to be something Team 10 could just brush under the rug at this point. With Alissa Violet becoming more and more of a problem for Jake in the Team 10 image, Jake decided he needed a new sort of fake, sort of real relationship to exploit. Hence, Jerika Unveiled.
I'm Jerika Unveiled.
Jerika Unveiled had been with Team 10 from the beginning. Originally, she was Jake's assistant, but then she became Jake's wife in one of the Team 10 vlogs, and the brand of Jerika was born. Y'all already know there was, of course, merch, and there was even a song which I think Freud would have loved.
Used to call you mom, but now I call you wifey.
Like I think a lot of Jake's relationships, this started out pretty much just as a bit for content, but slowly Jake and Jerika began actually dating, and she became a main player in the Team 10 vlogs. And with this new super adorable relationship, I'm sure soon enough people would forget all about Alissa Violet and Team 10 would be right back on its way to the top, right? Content warning, this next portion is going to focus a lot on different assaults that were alleged, so feel free to skip forward to the next chapter if you don't want to hear about that. In August of 2017, Jake posted a daily vlog because it's every day, bro, you know. But this vlog had quite the cold opening.
Meg was assaulted by a man last night who is in the same community and space as us.
Huh?
Yes! Good morning, Jake Paulers! What's Gucci, baby?
At the end of his vlog, Jake is sitting with Jerika, Anthony, and his assistant Meg. Meg describes running into a man called Faze Banks at a club the other night. At the time, Faze Banks was in a rival content house called the Clout Gang. These content houses' names are not real. And it also just so happened that Faze Banks was dating Alissa Violet. But Meg claimed to have seen Banks making out with other girls in the club. And Meg said later, when she was walking past Banks, Banks clotheslined her and dragged her back towards his table, leading to her having a large visible bruise on her neck. Meg was not super present on the Team 10 vlogs, and it didn't seem like Banks knew that she was a member of Team 10. But once Jake heard what had happened, he said that he thought this was important to include in his vlogs to prevent this from happening to other women. Almost immediately, Banks posted his own response video titled, "My girlfriend was assaulted." In this video, Banks shows a screenshot of a message sent by Nick Crompton in which Nick said that even though Meg thought the incident was an accident, Banks needed to apologize immediately. Banks said that he didn't think this was something someone would lie about, and so he told Nick that even though he had no memory of doing that, he had never seen this girl before, if he did do that, it was certainly an accident, and he wanted Meg's contact info so he could apologize to her. But afterwards, Nick never responded to Banks' messages, and then Jake posted his video. Banks denied that anything had happened and brought out friends who were with him that night as witnesses, including former MagCon member Taylor Caniff. Banks said that he had blacked out that night, which was very unusual for him, and both him and Taylor seemed to think that Banks had been drugged either accidentally or intentionally at the club that night. After this, Banks then brought out Alissa and Ricegum to explain that even though Banks himself hadn't assaulted women, according to Banks, Jake had a repeated history of assaulting women. Meanwhile, Ricegum is just there mewing in the corner.
Honestly, he did assault me a few times. If we never agreed on something or if something happened, he would spit in my face, and this has happened multiple times.
Alissa explained that in her relationship with Jake, Jake spit in her face multiple times. He shoved her into a bush, which led to her having permanent scars on her arm. And at one point, Jake threw Alissa's phone and dragged her down the stairs.
Another time, he threw my phone. Niels was there too at this one too, and surprisingly enough, Alex Lane was there at this one too. When I was living in his apartment, he took my phone, threw it at the wall, we got into a fight, I ran upstairs, he dragged me down the stairs, and I actually have...
Yeah, that's been on your leg since I met you.
This has been here for 2 years, dude.
And this video blew up. Jake then posted another response video denying Alissa's claims, saying that if she had really been physically hurt, she would have included that in her initial tell-all video.
I never laid a single finger on Alissa. She made this whole video
some of you have probably saw it, about her telling the truth about the situation and why she left the Team 10 house. In there, she never mentioned being assaulted. She never mentioned being spit on. She never mentioned any of these things. She never said anything about that in her video, and now all of a sudden she wants to talk about how I did that?
Although he does not address the video evidence of him being physical with Alissa in his own vlogs.
Ow, ow!
Yo, you guys want to die?
And Jake doubled down on this claim that Meg had been assaulted by Faze Banks.
Never explicitly said, I did not do that.
Because he did. And the police are getting involved into that. I hate to have this like conversation again with you because it's like so like I know it's tragic and you're okay though, right? Yeah, I'm okay. Jake Paulers know that she's okay.
Jake Paul lost nearly 60,000 followers after this incident. Actually, Jake Paul was live on the H3 podcast right after this Faze Bank video comes out, and you can see just how much his subscriber count is fluctuating during that podcast. Although Jake eventually said that he would be handling the conflict privately from there on out, Banks was not done, and he later posted another bombshell. Max Beaumont, another Team 10 member who was there at the club that night with Meg and Banks, left Team 10 and gave this interview with Banks, in which Max claimed Banks had not cheated on Alissa and had not assaulted anyone.
The first thing that I want to make very clear is I did not see you kiss anybody that night.
Thank you. Okay. Because I didn't kiss anybody.
Second thing, I did not see you assault anybody that night.
Including Megan Zelli.
Including Megan Zelli, okay. I did not see you assault anything that night.
Ultimately, we don't know what happened with any of this, but a lot of people after this incident believed that Jake and Team 10 had faked this entire accusation for internet clout. And people also thought it was very convenient that this accusation was being made against Alissa Violet's current boyfriend when Jake and Alissa already had so much public animosity for each other. Both sides here were raising very serious assault claims, but the public takeaway was this all seemed to be petty internet drama. Regardless of whether any or all of these accusations were true, this was not a situation to air out at the end of a daily vlog. And in the end, Meg was quietly cut out of Team 10 content, with a huge portion of the internet thinking she lied about an assault. Yeah, that got heavy. Let's maybe switch to something lighter like doxing or arson. In the summer of 2017, if you just search the Team 10 house on Google Maps, it would show the address. And it turns out it wasn't in a gated community either, so you could just drive there and flood the streets with dozens of other children who were escorted by their parents there. Turns out Team 10 just lived in a pretty normal suburban area, so there were a lot of neighbors who were understandably upset by the constant mob of children outside their homes. I also hope this goes without saying, but if you're a fan of someone and you find out where they live, that's not an invitation to show up at their home. That's just creepy. It's weird. The parents who were driving their kids out there, demanding Team 10 meet with their kids, were wildly inappropriate. They were old enough to know better. But many at the time speculated that Team 10 had intentionally leaked their own address and encouraged their fans to visit the house. According to Nick Crompton, Team 10 never intentionally put out their address. Instead, what happened, according to him, was a Team 10 employee was filing some sort of corporate document and accidentally used the actual home address on those forms, leading to the address being public record. Accidents happen, but you could also certainly argue that Team 10 never really made an effort to keep their home address private in any sort of way. Throughout all of the vlogs each member was posting, it was very easy to make out the floor plan of the house, what the neighbors' houses might have looked like, and they would often film in the front of their house, making it pretty easy for a determined child with unlimited internet access to guess where they might be. And if the mob of children outside wasn't enough, Team 10 were not the easiest neighbors to get along with. Watch any of their vlogs and you can see they're constantly screaming, blowing air horns, putting furniture and alcohol in empty pools to watch it erupt in flames. One day, a reporter, Chris Wolf, received a tip that neighbors were looking to have an emergency meeting with local officials, and depending on that meeting, they were considering a class action lawsuit against Jake and Team 10. So Chris Wolf went out and interviewed various neighbors who described being neighbors with Jake Paul as a living nightmare and that he had turned the neighborhood into a war zone.
It used to be a really nice, quiet street, and now we're just this like war zone. We're families here, and we're more than happy to have them live here if they're respectful of their neighbors, but they're not.
But as neighbors living with this every day, we're fed up.
Jake goes out to address the controversy, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this clip is crazy. He's running, he's screaming. Jake climbs onto the news van.
Jake, I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't crawl up there.
Why?
Okay. I just wouldn't do that. A lot of the neighbors are complaining. They're very upset.
No, why?
He says he feels bad, but the Jake Paulers are just the strongest army out there.
Why? They say that you've created a living hell out here, that it's like a circus.
Yeah, it is.
All the fans.
I mean, but people like going to circuses, right?
What do you say to the neighbors, though, that are upset? And they're really upset.
No, I honestly...
You can't beat them, join them.
No, I'm honestly, yeah, it's terrible. It's a bad situation. No, I feel bad for them, for sure. There's nothing we could do, though. The Jake Paulers are the strongest army out there. Dab.
And this clip goes everywhere.
I have one question for you.
Yeah?
What are those?
I guess he didn't like my shoes, but I don't think they're so bad.
Don't get me wrong, the Alissa Violet drama was big. But this was the first piece of Team 10 and Jake Paul to really ever break mainstream news, and it was not a good look. Pretty shortly after this news broke, Jake Paul and Disney mutually decided he should leave the Disney show Bizaardvark, and Jake tweeted out, "Crazy how many people care about me being a bad neighbor. Bigger fish to fry. Innocent people are getting shot every day. You should worry about that." Jake later went on the H3 podcast and spoke to Shane Dawson about this situation, and he said that he totally gets why people thought that clip of him climbing onto the news van was him being disrespectful or rude. But if you were a Jake Pauler, a true fan, you knew he was just joking.
At the time, I watched the video back and, like, I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I still think it is, like, because that's, like, my personality. But, like, watching that from, like, an outside perspective, like, I look like a fucking douchebag. Yeah. Like, look, like, that was terrible. But I think the people that, like, know me and, like, the fans were like, that was hilarious.
His sense of humor is just being an ass to everyone and everything in his peripheral vision. Either you get it or you don't. He also said that he wished the neighbors had communicated their problems to him because apparently most of them were super nice to him in person, except for the few who did very much say that there was a problem.
Are the neighbors not actually mad, though?
There's only, like, 3 neighbors. The ones next to us, the ones, like, across the street, and then, like, some down the street. When I went to go talk to these neighbors, a lot of them were like, "Oh, no, bro, we're fans. Like, keep going." I think where everyone needed to do better was, like, just having, like, all the neighbors, like, communicate. No one ever communicated to me their problems. It was always like, "Oh, let me go talk to the news station," or "Let me go talk to, like, the paparazzi." But no, the neighbors never said, "Jake, like, can you not do this? Can you not do that?"
This will be a running theme in Jake Paul's life and the eventual downfall of Team 10. According to Jake, if people only communicated that he was destroying their peace in their home, he'd stop. But I would argue it normally goes without saying that you shouldn't blow fumes into your neighbors' yards. And again, most people don't want mobs of 10-year-olds outside their homes at all times. But hey, at least Jake's landlord loved him, right? It was obvious to everyone, including Jake and Team 10, that the only real solution at this point was to move to a more remote house and make sure their next address wasn't leaked. So in October of 2017, Jake posted an exclusive tour of the new giant Team 10 house. But fans immediately noticed that it didn't seem like Tessa had a room in this new house. And shortly after, the Martinez Twins also announced that they wouldn't be moving in with the rest of Team 10. Even Jake's high school friend Chance was showing up less and less in Team 10 content. As we would come to find out in the upcoming months, this new house was the opportunity for a lot of Team 10 members to quietly jump ship, and some not so quietly. On November 10th of 2017, the Martinez Twins posted a video announcing that they had left Team 10. In this video, you could definitely tell that they were upset, but they didn't necessarily specify what exactly had happened, except that they struggled with being isolated and bullied since English was not their native language.
You see people in the house laughing, and you don't even know what they're talking about. Yeah. And then you find out that we're talking bullshit about you. They're laughing at you every single day, man. Like, I went there, I went to sleep scared. Like, how? 8 months in one house, just going to sleep scared because I didn't know how I was about to wake up.
But they said that if this video got even 1 like, they would make a follow-up video explaining everything that Team 10 did. And Team 10 panicked. Nothing says we have nothing to hide like an immediate statement and 10 different responses from everyone and their mother.
I didn't really know what to think, and I still almost didn't want to believe it, and I still thought that it was a prank, and I still thought that it wasn't real, you know, but it was, and remains real.
Like, what is going on in the world? Like, literally, like, me, Jake, and Nick were the closest to the twins, and we had no idea what was going on.
Do I think the Martinez twins were bullied? No. Do I think that Jake personally attacked the Martinez twins? No. Do I think that they probably got annoyed by the pranks? Hell yeah, like we all did.
In the joint statement released by Team 10 and Jake Paul, they explained that they were confused because the Martinez twins had acted like nothing was wrong. They had no idea what it could be. Everything seemed fine, but things had started to change when their twins hired an outside manager. That outside manager was someone Jake had worked with previously, who had supposedly wildly mismanaged a prior situation. But since Jake was all about second chances, he set her up to work with the Martinez twins. I don't know, if my friend or my boss is connecting me with a manager, I'd be a little suspect if the one they picked was someone who had mismanaged a situation with Jake before. But Team 10 and Jake especially were heartbroken because they had given everything to the Martinez boys. And this is what they get in return? The Martinez twins hadn't even said their side of the story at this point. Also, when I said everyone and their mother made a response video, I meant literally Jake's dad and mom released responses.
We all love the Martinez twins. We all are just shocked. No team member that I've talked to understands what's going on. And it's quite devastated.
And Jake's mom's vlog intro is this.
Good morning, hamsters.
That doesn't have anything to do with the situation, but I just thought y'all needed to know that. Greg Paul again suggested that this new manager, Morgan, had done a terrible job managing Jake and had stolen money from Jake previously, but because she spoke Spanish, Jake set them up together. And Greg believed that Morgan was the one who had turned the boys against the great Team 10. On November 13th, the Martinez twins finally released their follow-up video, The Truth, in which they walked through their entire experience with Team 10. They said that they grew up very poor in Spain and were approached by Jake to join Team 10. So they flew out to LA, barely speaking English, but excited for this huge opportunity to live with Team 10. According to the twins, they were initially promised that they would have a private room in this house, but they were instead given bunk beds in the living room for months. So during that time, they essentially had no privacy, but they were willing to put up with it because this was their dream and they trusted Jake and Team 10's vision. But in a lot of ways, it seemed they were hurt and taken advantage of because of the language barrier between the group. The twins felt like they were particularly targeted with constant pranks because they couldn't communicate how they felt about them. So they received far worse pranks than the rest of the group. When the twins asked to hire an English teacher so they could communicate better, Jake supposedly refused because he was teaching the twins English.
We tried to get a teacher just to know English, just to learn English, how we're gonna learn English. And they were like, no. Why? Because it was fun for their blogs. Like, it was fine, totally fine. Like, it was like, yeah, it's fine because it's like funny. And
it seems like their language barrier was a source of content. The twins also claimed that Jake would say racial slurs around them and just make a lot of jokes about their nationality, the fact that they were immigrants. Jake would later say in an interview with Shane Dawson that the twins would make fun of them too.
Literally, we would greet each other, like the Martinez twins would walk into the house, like, and if we were all sitting there, they'd be like, "What's up, crackers?" And like, they'd like call us like stupid, like white people, and like they call us like stupid Americans. We're like, "But what up, beaners?" Like, we would just like give it back, like bros being bros.
But I'll just say I find it hard to believe that two people who don't speak English very well knew these American slurs without being told to say them by someone like Jake, which was again probably just another way for Jake to make fun of the fact that they weren't native English speakers. And that's even putting aside the clear difference in punching down versus punching up towards a boss who is constantly making fun of your language and ethnicity. The twins also claimed that they were forced to do sexual acts with each other for content.
I know you guys saw this video, and I know you were like, this thing is weird. This thing is weird. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys right now. how? So the reason is like, he said to us, you guys should do that. You guys should do it.
And we were like,
do it.
And we were like, no, I don't want to do it.
Like, why am I gonna do it? It looks bad. It looks so weird. And he was like, no, it's like people is gonna laugh. You're gonna get a lot of followers. Whatever. And so why we have to do that? I don't care. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. And he started doing the same as I told you guys before. He started saying, oh, you guys are you guys are you guys are and we're like, no, I'm not a
They were refused medical care.
Tight, no, stop, keep it tight.
Stop, Tom, you almost died! You almost died, bro! It was an inch away from your head!
Well, I can't say we didn't expect that to happen. You have his waiver, right, Nick?
Hold it up.
Oh, it's not clickbait if we put gone wrong on the title, right? No.
And off camera, Jake would become verbally abusive. The twins further said that they were told they could not have a bank account in America, and therefore Team 10 had to hold on to all of their money, and would supposedly refuse to pay the twins for brand deals they had worked on, which of course would make it very difficult for the twins to leave Team 10 even if they wanted to. If they're in a foreign country and the person being cruel to them is also the person completely in control of their finances. I do think it's worth noting that Alissa Violet would also later tell Shane Dawson that her money for brand deals was also funneled through Team 10, and they would at times arbitrarily refuse to give her her money when she asked for it.
And I couldn't even afford to leave, even if I wanted to. They took a percentage of my money, but the checks went through Team 10 first. They would keep it. They'd send me like a couple $1,000s when it was like 20,000. And I'm like, oh, well, where's the rest of my money? Like, I'd like to get a car, get my own apartment. I'd like to move away. And they're like, oh, you can't manage your money properly. So we're gonna like hold on to it for you and we'll like dispense it to you. They kept so much money from me when I left, and I was a bitch to get back.
In short, what the Martinez twins were describing was a horrific living and work environment. The Martinez twins leaving, combined with Alissa Violet's story earlier, really solidified for a lot of people that Team 10 wasn't just like a little cringe content house. These accusations were serious. In fact, fans of the Martinez twins pointed out that this situation had a lot of parallels to the situation with Alissa. To which Jake tweeted and deleted, yeah, and this time I'm not going to be silent. Alissa f***ed my brother. That's why I kicked her out. Oops, I just told them the truth. I'm done with being the bad guy. We'll get back to that one later. After the release of the twins' second video, Jake posted an apology? Sort of. In this video, Jake only seemed to address the issue of pranking miscommunication, not the racism or the financial abuse allegations.
And let me start off by saying, first of all, I'm so sorry to the Martinez twins. Nobody should ever feel bullied, and I truly apologize for not doing a better job as a leader and as a friend. Happy they took the time to share their feelings in the second video, which makes things clear. You know, but they never came to me or anyone and shared how they were feeling, which would have resolved the situation immediately. However, I do understand that they were apprehensive and shy, and get why they didn't say anything. I just honestly wish they did, because I think it would have like fixed the whole entire situation. And I never meant to hurt the Martinez twins, and genuinely love them as brothers.
But Jake again seems to think that if people had just told him what was wrong, it would have all been fine. The Martinez twins in a follow-up video clarify that they did tell Jake what was wrong.
Jake, you apologize because you were so many times bullying us on camera, and even worse off camera. And you said in your video that the problem was our English, and that's why we felt more bullied. So we post a video saying the truth. All the things that you did to us, that's bullying in any language. He said we didn't come to anyone, we didn't tell anyone that we were feeling bad, that we weren't feeling that way. My mind is gonna explode. I said to Nick, I said a lot of times to Nick Crompton, which is the COO of Team 10, which is kind of like you. And I said a lot of times to him, yo, I don't feel good for the pranks. Yo, I wanna leave this house because I'm not feeling good. We don't have our own privacy.
But again, this miscommunication excuse is coming back, and it begins to look a lot more like deflection, a way for Jake to not take responsibility for his own failures to lead Team 10 and just treat people decently. Of course, we don't know if it's related, but in the months that follow, we would see multiple big names leave Team 10, to the point where Why I Left Team 10 was becoming like the new Why I Left BuzzFeed video. And once your empire is starting to fall apart, that is the perfect time to start a scammy, get-rich-quick online course.
I literally think I have one of the best jobs on the earth, and I think a lot of people will agree with that. I get to do what I want, where I want, with who I want, and make a lot of money doing it. And so I wanted you guys to be able to do it too. Exclusive. So in 2017, guys, I spent hours and hours and hours developing something I call Edfluence.
In the beginning of 2018, Jake Paul launched Edfluence, a $7, oh just kidding, a $64 online course with all of Jake's tips and tricks to becoming an internet star. And hey, if you signed up for this course, you could even become part of Team 1000. What's Team 1000? No, really, what's Team 1000? We never find out what Team 1000 is. Drew Gooden, of course, made 2 great videos on this course, and I really wanted to see if I could access it anywhere, but it seems like this course is like long gone from the internet by this point. But I did have a lot of fun reading through the terms of service for Edfluence on the Wayback Machine, which include fun little things like, we make no representations or warranties about the accuracy or completeness of the information provided in connection with the service. No information provided by us should be construed as a guarantee of success. And we are under no obligation to provide support for the service. In instances where we may offer support, the support will be subject to published policies. Yeah, can you believe this course wasn't successful? I mean, how could you expect Jake Paul to keep up to date with his Edfluence program when he had a national Team 10 tour to do? Once again, Drew Gooden made a video all about this tour that I've fallen asleep to many times over the years. Thank you, Drew. But as a lot of you know, there's nothing I love more than a half-baked YouTuber tour. And this tour has it all. Jumping around to other people's music, check. VIP tickets costing up to $1,000, check. And hordes of screaming children both on stage and off stage at all times. This tour really showed just how many Team 10 members Jake had lost over the years, because now instead of Nick or Chance or Tessa, we have Jit and Quan, 2 14-year-old rappers. We have a 4-year-old who happens to look exactly like Jake Paul. Of course, there's Justin Roberts performing his hit song 6 Figures. He was only 4. And there's Sunny Maloof, another Nepo baby with another shameless, albeit much less catchy song about how she was born rich. Oh, your dad didn't combine 2 mega mansions, build a water park in his backyard, and allegedly defraud Medicaid out of millions of dollars? Sucks to suck. Anyway, here's Jake Paul rapping about how teachers suck to his army of child fans. As awful as the footage from all of this looks, I can't say I'm not a little disappointed I didn't get to see this chaos in person. Alright, now we're getting to the reason I even decided to make this video. Folks, I'm not gonna lie, one day I was just having like awful anxiety. I couldn't get out of bed, it was miserable, and the way I decided to deal with all these emotions was to watch all 8 parts of the Shane Dawson, The Mind of Jake Paul series and take angry notes on my iPad. Look at this. Look at this. That's called self-care. That being said, 99% of my notes aren't really relevant here. Most of it is just my personal grievances about Shane's garbage documentary, which is much more focused on Jake Paul as a person than Team 10 the brand. But in the docuseries, Jake is trying to find out if Jake is a sociopath, and Shane is very scared.
Man, oh my god. I just sent a voice memo. Whew, I'm nervous. Okay, all right.
For sure, dude. I'm excited. I'm excited we're doing this. And
I just got the chills. That was crazy, right?
He's getting voice memos. It's scary. After talking to a therapist who handles the discussion of antisocial personality disorder very sensitively.
Isn't that creepy? It's so creepy. Okay. It's like, we're gonna have to take a shower after this.
I'm feeling sick.
It's really gross. And it's just creepy. Yeah, because narcissism is again, it's like born out of trauma usually, which kind of makes you feel bad for them a little bit, but like not that much. Yeah, that's hence the like, ugh, that feeling. Like, ugh.
And meeting Jake Paul, 5 episodes into an 8-part series about Jake Paul, Shane realizes that Jake isn't a sociopath. His parents are just divorced. But returning to Team 10, when this documentary was being filmed, Jake Paul was starting to focus much more on his boxing career he had sort of fallen into, and Team 10 was fading into the background. Meanwhile, key Team 10 members like Nick Crompton, England is my city, had left Team 10 citing a hostile work environment caused by Jake's father, Greg Paul. Shane takes all of this information in and comes to the wild conclusion that yeah, maybe having Jake Paul's dad make out with teenagers with the rest of the Team 10 boys while supposedly emotionally abusing Team 10 members off camera, that doesn't create the best work environment now, does it? Shane also at least alludes to the concern that Team 10's content was incredibly damaging to kids because that was their primary audience. Team 10 vlogs were, in essence, a kid's wildest sugar high fantasy, filling a pool with cereal, indoor zip lines, bouncy castles, but more often than not, it was also incredibly violent and hypersexual. There was this one video called I Lost My Virginity, where the thumbnail was just Erica and Jake making out half naked on a bed. That video was age restricted, the thumbnail was changed, but plenty of other content that wasn't quite that egregious flew under YouTube's radar. And on top of that, Team 10 content was filled to the brim with advertisements for Team 10's tour, Edfluence, Team 10's merch. Although Jake in this docuseries is willing to admit, yeah, he was kind of a dick in the neighbor situation. Yeah, maybe he shouldn't make out with girls with his dad on camera. He refuses to acknowledge how Team 10's marketing shamelessly manipulates kids.
So it's like, I've been doing that shit my whole life. So like for people trying to say like, I'm just doing it to manipulate and trying to make money off of kids, like, shut the fuck up.
Even Shane, who at this point in the docuseries really becomes like a Jake Paul apologist, has to try and break it down in the simplest possible terms for Jake, and nothing.
Say you're watching like SpongeBob. If SpongeBob every 10 seconds was like, buy my merch, always, right, and was saying things like teachers are stupid, you'd be like, wait, what the fuck, why is SpongeBob trying to sell my kid shit?
But isn't there like commercials in between SpongeBob?
Yeah, but it's not SpongeBob. You're the one that the kid trusts and loves and looks up to and wants to be.
Shane also throughout this series is horrified by the drama that's gone down between Alissa and Jake, but mostly he's horrified at the fact that Alissa and Logan hooked up.
It, like, for Jake, that's like, I feel like I have to talk to him about that. Like, how did you deal with that emotionally, mentally?
Well, what does that say about his relationship with his brother?
Yeah, that's interesting too.
Don't get me wrong, I think everyone in this situation was at the very least kind of messy, but the accusations of physical and financial abuse are just entirely brushed over, and it's so frustrating to watch because who has time for that? We need 3 different house tours. Regardless of my own irritation with this docuseries, Shane Dawson was incredibly respected at the time, and a lot of people walked away from this docuseries with much more empathy and appreciation for Jake. His dad and his brother were mean to him, so can you blame the guy for starting an exploitative content house that repeatedly hurt the people inside and outside the group? He's just a boy. And with this newfound audience and an at least temporary gain in respect for Jake, it was time for another Team 10 rebrand. It was time for Team 10 Uncut. In November of 2018, Jake Paul started a new series called Jake Paul Uncut, which was not so subtly inspired by Shane Dawson's bloated vlogging / documentary style format. This series lasted a grand total of 2 episodes, in which Jake shows him breaking up with Erica Costell. But the breakup with Erica Costell is happening while Justin Roberts is filming a Team 10 movie, so there's a bunch of knockoff old Team 10 members just like standing around. It's a lot.
Martinez Twin, Tessa, Martinez Twin, Dobre brothers. Yo, Derek. Yes. Real fast. Where's Erica's not coming or what?
Erica is coming.
She is.
And yes, I did look it up. Sadly, the Team 10 movie is not a real thing. I wish it was. Even though the Jake Paul Uncut series didn't go anywhere, it did give Jake the idea for an even better idea. Team 10 Uncut. Of all the content I watched for this video, this series was probably the roughest to get through. It is for the most part so boring. So boring. But it is surprisingly very illuminating of just why Team 10 consistently declined and lost members after 2017. Turns out Jake Paul isn't that great of a boss. The series follows Jake in a reality show format with talking heads cut between live footage as he tries to relaunch and scout new members for Team 10. He at one point talks about launching a Team 10 idol where they would just have people vlog in front of him to see if they're the next big star.
We are literally creating like digital or YouTube idol. Imagine an event where thousands of people who want to become famous on YouTube, maybe it's you watching this video right now, going to a place and them auditioning to be on Team 10. Oh my God.
And I would have loved to see how logistically that would have ever worked, but of course that did not end up happening. And we come to find out if there's one thing Jake Paul hates in all of these new Team 10 members he's gotten, it's egos.
And he has the ego I'm not really able to do before, which is managing the egos. I understand egos, and that's why I'm not afraid of Cole's ego. Hard to find actual good, like, Team 10 talent who work hard, want to be here, don't have egos. I've literally watched so many people in this industry who have egos like blow up, then fall off, and their egos like disappear. When I started Team 10, I shared a room with 8 people. If you're not down to make something huge, I get it. Ego kills in this industry.
If you want to be in this Team 10 mansion, you gotta sleep on the mean streets of Cleveland, Ohio, like me, Jake Paul. Some of the first people he brings out in this series was Alissa Kalani and her boyfriend at the time, Tanner Stewart. In the docuseries, Jake describes Alissa as being really weird and ungrateful the whole time she's at the Team 10 mansion. She spends all her time in her room, she doesn't want to hang out with the rest of the Team 10 family, just getting bad vibes from her, until Alissa and Tanner leave without saying a word. We never really see Alissa and Tanner's side in this docuseries, and as it turns out, there was probably a reason for that. Alissa later posted a Why I Didn't Join Team 10 video explaining her side of the story, and of course, I wasn't there. I don't actually know what happened, but based on everything else we've heard, I do tend to believe her. She says that she actually had no idea she was going to be even featured in an Uncut series, and was actually told that she was being filmed so Jake Paul could review the footage and see if she would be a member of Team 10. She did not know that this was going public to his main channel. She says that she landed in LA and was told by Team 10 that she needed to film and edit different content for him, again, so he can decide if she's going to be a good fit for the house permanently. So she goes off to film and edit, which is later described as her being antisocial and weird. But she also says that she has social anxiety, and she was very nervous being there with a bunch of people she didn't really know. And at one point, she had a really bad panic attack. But she did communicate to Jake and the other people in the house that that's what was going on. And at the time, they seemed really understanding. But she later saw in the Uncut series that this was painted as her just having a temper tantrum in her room for no reason.
So Alissa and Tanner were having issues, I guess. They were overwhelmed. She was crying and she wanted her own room, I guess.
I don't like bougie creators who like need this or that. Like, this is the new Team 10. Like, I started making videos when in a shithole in Ohio. Like, this is go time, people. It's the new era. We don't have time for like, oh, I'm scared.
So like Tanner and Alissa, like, don't like tell me if I'm wrong. Do you feel like a weird vibe just because you know how we can read like energy off like easily? I feel like their energy is really off.
Eventually, her and Tanner were presented with the Team 10 contract, and Alissa decided that it wasn't really what she wanted, it wasn't a good fit, and she left. Again, she did not know that there was drama or conflict in the house until the series aired. The new Team 10 also featured the Kachi twins, because Team 10 can't get enough of twins. It's a real niche they found for themselves. And the Kachi twins made videos like, yeah. Next, there was Cole Kerrigan.
Some like to call me a Jeffree Star prodigy, but I call myself Cole Kerrigan.
Yeah, I don't get why anyone would get this person mixed up with Jeffree Star. I don't see the correlation. And here's where the problems start. Because according to Jake, Cole is acting like a real diva. Cole is a beauty content creator, and when Cole moved to the Team 10 house, he said that he was told that he would have his own room and that would be his dedicated filming space, like his beauty setup. But when he gets there, he's sharing a room and he has nowhere to set up and film. So Cole pulls Jake aside and explains, hey, as a gay person, he doesn't feel super comfortable sharing a room with straight guys, especially when that wasn't what he was told initially. He wasn't prepared for that going in, and it was again just sort of taken aback and confused based on different things being said. A few weeks go by and Cole still has nowhere to set up and film, and so he just wants to know what's happening, because the timeline for him getting a filming setup keeps changing and people are saying different things. At this point, Jake just blows up at Cole.
Well, that's just what I've been told. What have you been told? Adam told me he's moving into Anthony's room and I'm moving into there. Exactly, another communication issue, because that's what I've been.
So why are you raising your voice right now?
I'm not.
You are.
I'm not. I'm just.
Anyone in this room right now, or anyone watching?
I'm just irritated.
Exactly, but like there's literally no reason to be irritated.
Yes, there absolutely is.
No, there's not.
Jake can sleep in a dumpster and film there. Why can't Cole? But Cole is a beauty YouTuber. He actually can't just film in any random space with a bunch of screaming men putting mouse traps on their dicks around him. He needs to be able to set up his backdrop, his makeup. He needs a quieter part of the house for like good audio. And also Jake has said plenty of times that if there's a problem, Cole should go and talk to Jake. And now Jake's just angrily swinging his arms around, interrupting Cole every time Cole tries to speak.
You clearly don't understand how I feel at all.
I do.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I just don't.
You wouldn't be telling me that conversation.
I just don't think that your feelings are that valid, to be honest. Because it's like,
Jake has such bad communication skills, it's like actually hard to watch. And the comments on this video were not on his side at all. Unsurprisingly, Cole would leave Team 10 shortly after this video was released, and he would actually release his own video on why he left Team 10, which has since been deleted. But in that video, Cole claimed that he left after verbal abuse from Team 10 employees, and it got to a point where he no longer felt safe being there. Cole claimed that Team 10's event organizer Armani, who was also featured in Team 10 Uncut, had called Cole homophobic slurs and every name in the book. He also claimed that members of Team 10 spray painted "Get the fuck out of our house" over a mural in his room, which Jake did actually later confirm in his own video.
Painted over it because we were kicking him off the
and that's
team.
why he's mad?
Someone in the house painted on it and was like, F you, because they have beef together.
Who's beefing with Cole?
Armani.
After Cole released his video, Jake came with the receipts.
I am f***ing over this bullshit of like me giving f***ing everything to these people who are at such a small point in their career, and I mentor them, I become their friends, I give them hugs when they're crying, bro. I could roll the clip.
At the end of the day, like...
Give me a hug, yo. For real. It's tough, yo. There's more where that came from. Woo.
Jake can't be a bad guy. He literally hugged Cole once when Cole was crying. Still don't believe Jake's a good person? Maybe you should take a look at that Shane Dawson documentary series.
I've proven time and Shane Dawson documentary and time again that I am a good person and that I've literally done nothing but help these people. It's bullshit, bro.
I rest my case. And no, Jake does not address the homophobia accusations. But on an unrelated note, 2 trans women were also seemingly kicked out of the Team 10 house because they weren't real women. Although this was a Team 10 editor who said this, not Jake Paul, Lila and Kendall claimed that other members of Team 10 did not say anything until after these 2 started posting about the transphobic experience that they had just went through. And the response they got from other people was just telling them to take the post down. The statement later put out by Team 10 saying they were investigating this matter didn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence. Not even Jake's fake wedding to Tana Mojo could save the Team 10 brand at this point. Soon the Team 10 social media was wiped, and the official Instagram and Twitter just says that there's a new team coming soon. I suppose soon is a relative term. Even though Team 10 has basically gone dormant, that does not mean it has escaped controversy over these past few years. The Team 10 house had its fair share of COVID parties, FBI raids, all standard fare at this point. But there were also some very serious allegations that came out and a content warning for SA here. In April of 2021, Justine Paradise released a 20-minute video in which she alleged that Jake Paul had assaulted her at the Team 10 house in 2019. She does describe the incident in a lot more detail in her own video, and just a forewarning, if you choose to watch it, it is very upsetting. Jake Paul denied that any of this had happened and claimed he would be pursuing legal action against Justine. But shortly after that happened, more allegations came out in a 2021 New York Times article. I am genuinely shocked at how this article isn't spoken about more, because the allegations in here are horrific. The article focused on various former Team 10 members, including AJ Mitchell, who was one of the original Team 10 members, who had never really spoken about his experience with Team 10 up until this point. But here he lays it all out. AJ joined Team 10 when he was 14 years old, and his parents initially weren't sure about sending him off to be on his own, but they were convinced by Jake Paul's parents, Erica Costell, who was older at this point, and Niels Visser that this would be a safe environment for a kid. Initially, AJ slept on the couch in the mansion, and occasionally his parents would come and check on him. But again, his parents were also assured by older members of Team 10 management that AJ was being taken care of. AJ, not unlike the Martinez twins, describes a hectic environment where pranks were constant. AJ himself had his keyboard broken one day, but put up with it because Jake was very good at manipulating everyone around him and made him feel like it was for the benefit of his career to be there. If you got tagged in one of Jake's YouTube videos, you could get 50,000 followers, Mr. Mitchell said. Jake would use that to manipulate everyone. If anyone didn't do what Jake wanted, he'd tell everyone else in the house not to tag them. Jake had a monopoly, and he decided who got famous. AJ also described how Jake controlled each of the members' business emails and would basically have total control over the brand deals that they would participate in. According to this article, AJ was never paid by Team 10 in the time he was in the house, but he was paid directly for 2 brand deals he participated in. Because AJ wasn't getting money, AJ really struggled to feed himself because he's a kid living in a house with other kids who also have no idea how to take care of themselves. And even though there was supposedly a no drinking or drugs policy, the Team 10 house would constantly supply drugs and alcohol at parties where people in their 20s and 30s would be attending. AJ said at one of these parties he had a sexual relationship with a woman 10 years older than him. After AJ's mom found out about parties at the house, AJ moved out of the Team 10 house in 2016. The New York Times also interviewed a woman named Riley Lawley, who was briefly with Team 10 in 2017. She claimed that when she was just 17 years old, Jake would refer to her as jailbait and make a lot of comments on her appearance. That is until one evening in late 2017 where, after filming a video, Jake Paul groped her. She forcefully told him to stop, and he ran out of the room. And that is the last we've really heard about Team 10. Just horrific allegation after horrific allegation. I think at this point, even if Jake wanted to bring back Team 10, he can't. There's no escaping just the wake of people who were hurt inside and outside Team 10 by this content house. What was meant to be just a bunch of influencers collabing, throwing mac and cheese on each other, making bad diss tracks, turned into countless claims of emotional, financial, sexual, and physical abuse. And throughout all of it, I don't think Jake or upper management see a problem with any of it to this day. It is really easy to discount serious accusations when you emphasize loyalty above all. In Jake's mind, he made these people, so they don't get to speak out about the horrific things him or his team did. Team 10 was created to be a cash machine. Actually, the 10 in Team 10 stands for the 10 digits in $1 billion. That was Jake's goal in all of this. Make as much money off as many people as he could until he could jump to mainstream success. And in a way, he got that. He's managed to make a whole career out of boxing. But I also highly doubt he'd be nearly as famous as he is now if he hadn't had that army of teenagers to make content for him for all those years. For someone who consistently claimed that Team 10 would be nothing without him, he sure wouldn't be where he is now without those teenage influencers he exploited. And that is the story of Team 10. Sorry to end on such a downer. And also, my camera is about to overheat, so I'm gonna make this outro very short. I hope y'all found this interesting. I certainly did. And if you want to see more from me, you can check out my Patreon, where I make monthly bonus videos for the people who support me on there. I also stream on Twitch a couple times a week and re-upload all of that to my second channel. And if you don't want to see any of that, totally cool, totally get it. But if you liked this video, you could feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye! Oh, that's Alissa. Violet used to be yo chick. Now she in the low gang, and you know she on my team. Those cars ain't yours, man. That shit was just floated. Gun tattooed on your leg, cause she knew you weren't loaded. Pa, pa, pa. I act in movies that your fans watch with their babysitter. Playboy, I thought you were my boy. Guess I have a baby sister. Yeet. You're trying to be a model, should have kept Neil's visor. Go make another video about who's a better kisser. Is it called Team 10 because you take 10% of your friends? That's fucked up, Jake. When the contract dies, so does their career. That ends. That's also a fact. Are you mad just because you couldn't sign the Dolans? They're smarter than you. So you had to replace them with the Spanish Twins. No, don't go. Goose, it's a good song. It's a good song, Goose.